Welcome to a new year and a new season of the Go Shout Love podcast. I am Seth Carnell, one of the hosts for this show, and a privileged member of the Go Shout Love team. I say privileged because that is how it feels to be able to meet these amazing families and to see these beautiful kiddos in person. And I really, truly wish everyone was given the gift of being able to meet these families and why we do our best to tell their stories and bring them into your lives. Today, we are with Cody and Chelsea Wasden, the parents to the adorable and inspiring Stetson, a kid with holoprosencephaly, or HPE, and epilepsy. HPE, simply put, is the failure of the brain to split into two sides. Now, there's a lot to that and a lot to unpack there, and I will let Cody and Chelsea explain this further and what that means for Stetson. What it did mean for Cody and Chelsea was there was no preparation. A completely normal pregnancy with no indication of a problem. Her delivery quickly went from joyous expectation to confusion and fear and a long journey after that. You will hear also about the impact Stetson has had on the lives of those around him and the impact that having a kiddo like Stetson can have on social and family life. Also, remember the words, the moments in between. You will find out the meaning behind that phrase and how it has affected Chelsea's artistic nature. With me in this interview is Josh Veach, one of the co-directors of Go Shout Love. In the background, you will also hear some noise. This is the suctioning and breathing machines for Stetson. I personally love it when our listeners can get a small sample of daily life for our families, and that includes sounds and alarms and, life of a kid on a rare medical journey. There is so much good in this conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Please, when you're done listening, take a second to rate and review us. Hopefully somebody then can hear it and maybe be blessed by this conversation. And here is Josh to get us started.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for opening your home and letting us come visit.
Thank you, guys.
It's awesome to get to meet Stetson and you guys. So, really, we just want to know about Stetson, the child, the kiddo. Like, what's he like? What's his personality like? So, Chelsea, why don't you start?
Stetson, he's a happy little guy. He's always smiling and laughing, and his face can just brighten our day just by seeing him smile. Like little things. It's just the little things that just make the biggest difference.
Cody, what are some of those little things that make him smile?
When you come home and you just grab his hand and just mess with his hand and stuff, and I grab his leg and just kind of squeeze on his leg a little bit, and I just rough around a little bit. Just
Daddy plays rough with him.
Not scared to just because he's sensitive and stuff. I don't want to I still grab him and play with him and stuff.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped you from being able to connect with him and play with him in that way.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
that smile is something special.
Yeah.
It is. It's just makes my day.
Yeah,
every day.
He's proud of his teeth.
Let's flip that question around. What does he do that puts a big smile on your face, Cody?
Oh, just when I come home from work and I just walk in, and as soon as I see him, and it's just instantly. He just smiles and we just connect. It's like you just forget about everything, and he's what I look forward to when I come home. Just see him, and everything. See you guys and smiling.
Yeah. Chelsea, what about you?
Same thing. Just seeing him smile can just change your day around. It's like every little bad thing that happens just doesn't matter anymore. Doesn't matter how bad our day is. As soon as we see that smile, it's just a good day.
Is there a story behind his name? It's such a cool name.
Pretty much. I had a long list of girls' names and no boys' names. I could not come up with any boys' names that I like, so he came up with Stetson, and it stuck.
You
just said it one day, right?
I was looking at the list, and I was like, what about Stetson? And she's like, I like Stetson, so we just ran with Stetson James.
Yep.
There's a lot of unique names out there. That's one of the good ones. You don't hear that name a lot, but it sticks out in a very nice way.
Yeah, Thank you.
Absolutely. My wife and I, several years ago, we tried to start our family, and it didn't happen at that time. And she had gone through starting a list of names that it's like you go back and forth, you kind of agree, and so we have a little guy that just turned 1. And back when we found out he was pregnant, that Rochelle was pregnant with him, we started looking back at that old list, and we were like, "What?" And no, we were not ready to start a family based on this list of names. Like, I'm so glad that we did not bring a child into this world and name them one of those names. So I totally get where you're coming from with the unique names that are like. I mean, they weren't outrageous, but they were just like you came back to them, you're like,
"What was I thinking?"
Yeah. Like I'm glad that we didn't pick that. So
I don't think a lot of people liked his name when we told them what it was going to be. But it just fits him now.
Yeah.
Everybody loves his name.
Everyone kind of grew into it.
Yeah, it fits him. I can't imagine him as anyone else.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about that process of finding out you're having a baby and all the way through to his delivery.
Oh, we were so excited. We found out, I think I was probably around 8 weeks along when we found out, and like immediately we made our appointment, went and got our first ultrasound, and we were so excited showing it off to everybody. It was such a normal pregnancy. We went to all our appointments, we got all our ultrasounds. I didn't even have morning sickness. I loved being pregnant. I felt amazing pregnant. Up until the delivery, everything was normal. It was a rough delivery. He was stuck. I think they called it sunny side up, and then he was stuck. They had to pull him out with forceps, and that's when they found out something was wrong. That was our first idea that something was wrong.
Nothing ultrasounds, no signs of any issues.
Nothing. He was moving fine my whole pregnancy. Yeah.
And you said at the delivery, that's when they knew that something was wrong. What was the indicator that something was different, something was off?
When he came out, he didn't cry right away, and he just wasn't moving very much.
His lung wasn't, they listened to him and they couldn't hear like one of his lungs actually working.
Yeah, they had to put him on oxygen right away. They had to, they put the little oxygen mask over his face. They came and let us see it. Well, you got to cut his cord.
But it was all rushed though. She was like, "You got to hurry up. You got to do this, Mom. Here it is. Take a look."
So immediately they noticed that something was off.
Yeah, she brought him to me, let me kiss him, and then they took him right away. I didn't even get to hold him, neither of us.
And it was like, I think that was like around 7.
7,
and then we didn't see him until around midnight. And then he
went straight to the NICU.
She had a lot of.
My blood pressure was high, so they gave me something, so I wasn't allowed out of bed for 24 hours. So I didn't see him till the next night, but Cody got to see him in the NICU. They had to put him on CPAP right away. He just wasn't taking big enough breaths on his own. He was on oxygen, a feeding tube. He wasn't sucking right. He was trying, but just not enough to give him enough that he needed. So that prompted them to do more tests. They ordered MRIs. They did the MRI of his brain, and that's when they found something. They didn't name it. They didn't tell us what it was, just that it was abnormal, and they wanted to get him out of there. They wanted to transfer him to a pediatric hospital. So he went to All Children's in St. Pete when he was 3 days old. So.
I want to jump back to that first 24 hours because I think a lot of times when people hear these sort of stories, it's weeks or months or years after it happens.
Right.
But in the moment when that happens, especially for a mom, you've been going through this pregnancy, everything's been great, and then you have 24 hours after delivering this baby that you're really not sure what's going on. But on top of that, you don't even, because of being on the blood pressure medication, you don't even get to see him. What was that like for you to have to go through that?
It was terrifying. We just had no idea what was going on. Nobody could really tell us anything, just that something wasn't right. And they didn't know why he wasn't able to eat on his own and why he wasn't able to breathe properly and why he needed oxygen. So it was just scary. We kept asking why, what's wrong, why is this happening? And nobody could really tell us. They would just tell us, oh, you can see him soon, he'll be okay. And the nurses just trying to comfort us, but it was shocking,
terrifying.
Because just we had no idea that anything would be wrong. We weren't expecting it. We weren't prepared. So it was shocking and really, really scary.
Now, Cody, in that moment, your son's being moved to the NICU and your wife is having blood pressure issues. Mm-hmm. What is your instinct? What do you do in that moment?
I had no idea what to do. I was just kind of like in shock, kind of frozen, but I knew I needed to go down to talk to the family and stuff and let everyone know let everyone know that what was going on and everything. But I didn't really understand what was happening at that moment, and I just I seen him, and then they took him, and why can't we hold him? Why are we gonna lose him? Am I gonna lose her? At the same moment. So I didn't know what to think at the moment. But
and you're put in this really difficult situation of, do I go to the NICU and leave my wife in this situation, or do I stay here and just hope that everything, that's a hard place to be. And one, like you said, you don't really think about that.
You weren't prepared for it in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I remember going up there and I ran up there to the NICU and I did go see him, but I remember just seeing him briefly and touching him and just being there for a minute. They wouldn't let me pick him up or anything, but I did take pictures for Chelsea, and then we went back up. Well, I went back up to the room, and then we finally went down there the next day all together, and she actually got to hold him. But I wanted her to hold him first. So.
Oh yeah.
So what about? So you said that about 3 days later he got transferred to St. Pete. You guys live in Tampa, so you was in the hospital here in Tampa.
Yeah, Brandon. He was at the local. That's where my doctor did delivery, so that's where we went, Brandon.
Okay, and so then, so they did the MRI. That's what kind of triggered. We need to go to Tampa or to St. Pete. What were the next things that happened from there?
They didn't all children's sent over their ambulance with their paramedics, and they put him in this incubator box thing where they could have the oxygen flowing, the CPAP machine, his feeding tube, and keep him warm at the same time. His temperature was also unstable. I forgot to mention that. So they had to keep him warm in there. And it took about an hour and a half to get over to St. Pete. And did they let you ride with him? No, they wouldn't let us ride in there with them.
I ran to the house and grabbed a bunch of stuff to go, because I figured we were going to stay there for a while. So we did that. Yeah,
we grabbed our stuff and we just followed, and we met them there. They took him straight to their NICU, and I remember just meeting so many new people. So many doctors were there, waiting to do their test, and that's where we found out his diagnosis and all that.
And so tell us a little bit about that diagnosis, and then just kind of what, in layman's terms, because I'm sure you guys are 3 years into this journey now.
Right.
You are way more advanced medically than you probably ever thought you would be.
Yes,
as parents.
definitely.
So in layman's terms, just tell us what that diagnosis is and how it affects his everyday life.
So holoprosencephaly is basically, it's the failure of the brain to split into the two sides. So Stetson has lobar holoprosencephaly. There's 3 different categories. His is lobar, where the brain partially split. So usually with HPE babies, when their brain doesn't split, they have cleft lip, cleft palate, maybe one nostril, one eye sometimes, because
it actually affects the physical development of the face.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So his partially split. So that's why he doesn't have the outward appearances of HPE. And usually with HPE, that causes low muscle tone, failure to thrive, which is why he ended up being on a trach and vent, G-tube, epilepsy, which he has epilepsy.
So the way that you describe that makes it seem like that happens still as he's formed during pregnancy. Is that just something that's not tested for or can't be seen in ultrasound? So they give you any insight into that, or is
right? It's hard to understand because, as far as we understand it, they told us it happens at conception, right away. So
how long were you guys in the NICU?
3 or 4 months, I think.
3 or 4 months.
Well, we were in the NICU for a month.
Oh,
and then we went to the PICU. So he came home. He was in the NICU for about a month, and all children's. They sent him home with just a G-tube. when he was about a month old. We were home for a couple weeks, and then we ended up going back because he was having breathing problems, and they put him in the PICU at that point.
He was diagnosed with pneumonia.
Right. Yeah. When we took him back, we noticed just breathing trouble. They had to intubate him right away. They did chest x-rays. He was diagnosed with pneumonia, aspiration pneumonia. So his formula was just going right back in. And that's when they put him in the PICU, and he was intubated, and they tried probably 3 or 4 times to extubate him, and he just couldn't last. He would last maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour, if that, and they would have to re-intubate because his oxygen would drop. He couldn't keep it up on his own. And that's when they let us decide if we wanted the trach or not.
Yeah.
And we obviously did go with the trach. It was either they gave us the option to either give him the trach or extubate and let him pass away.
Is somebody at this point just giving you kind of the options as a matter of fact, or is there someone kind of guiding you along?
That
those kind of
person that
decisions.
did it was very matter of fact. That was the last time they tried to extubate and it failed. I don't know who she was, to be honest, but she was kind of matter of fact about it.
Those are tough decisions.
Right. And it wasn't.
Yeah, she wasn't very like polite with it either. She kind of just came out with it, but that's all.
Yeah.
So she's not. She's simply just looking at it from a medical standpoint.
Right.
She's not thinking. You're thinking this is my boy.
Right. This is our baby. And he was awake and alert this whole time. He would wake up and smile. And
yeah, we have videos of him like when he was intubated with hoses in his face and his nose and cords all over, just laughing,
expressing joy.
Yes.
And you hear this. Option B is just to let go of that.
Right. It's like the trach is bad. I don't know. That's how it was.
In all of this, had you ever heard of HPE before?
No, never. We were looking it up, and they told us don't look it up.
Yeah,
You're
don't
not
go down the
supposed to
Google
go on
rabbit
Google,
hole.
right? Because everything on Google was bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we found that support group on Facebook that we learned like they can live with this. They can, you know, they'll have difficulty with things, but they can live and they can have a happy life if they have family that.
It's good support.
Yeah, if they have the support and the family they need. And then we had a really great palliative care team come in, and we're still friends with them. They see him when he goes for his regular doctor's appointments. They're great. They're the ones that kind of gave us all the information we needed about the trach. How it's not just this bad thing. You can live with it. You can go home with it. We didn't know any of that.
Obviously, bringing a child home that has extra medical complexities that require understanding of what medical equipment is, what it's doing, why it's important, how to care for that, how to clean it, how to do suction, all those different things. Those aren't things that, if you're reading parenting books, there aren't chapters. There aren't chapters on that, right? No. Preparing for that.
No.
So, Cody, especially for you as a dad, was that something that you picked up on quickly, on being able to jump in and you know, do the suction and all of those different things, or was that something that took a little bit of time to get comfortable with?
Oh, it definitely took some time to get comfortable with, but like I thought we were just going to be changing diapers and stuff, but we're changing trachs and everything like that. And it's definitely nerve wracking, but yeah, we jumped in head first, and took it on. And I remember we were at the hospital and they were showing us how to take it apart so you can take him out and stuff, like travel mode. And I told her, like, let's do it again. You know, I want to know how to do it again before I go home and everything. And we finally, like, we can get it now. We can, if we have to get out the door fast, we're there.
Yeah,
it's like second nature now.
Yeah,
but it was like they did all this training with us in the hospital, but you don't really learn until you're home by yourself. Because there you have doctors, you have nurses, you have RTs helping you. But once we were by ourselves, that's when we really learned.
Yeah,
like we're the only ones here. We don't have backup.
I'm sure there was a moment there of being overwhelmed.
Yes. Very.
And even though he doesn't really like, Stetson doesn't really like move a whole lot, he still shows you like in his facial expressions and stuff, like this doesn't feel good, this doesn't, you know, like you can still see him get mad when they stick him with the needles and stuff at the doctor's appointment. So he helped out too. Like
Right.
we've learned to read him very well.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, a lot of people, I think, especially if they've never really been around any people or children, especially that are, you know, medically complex or especially nonverbal, I think they just kind of assume that they really don't communicate. But
Yeah,
how
exactly.
you said we've gotten pretty good at reading him. How does Stetson communicate with you?
He like if he's like, if he has a dirty diaper, for instance, his pulse ox will go up and his face will get mad and he'll stretch and he'll let you know like, hey, you gotta come on and help me out real quick. You know?
This doesn't feel good, Dad.
Yeah, like he's definitely just facial expressions, and like you can see his heart rate go up.
Yeah.
And he does make facial expressions, like when they stick him at the hospital, he gets mad and you can, I don't know.
Face turns bright red.
Yeah.
We can read it in his eyes.
Yeah.
He can. It's like he can't talk, but he can with his eyes.
Yeah.
We've learned to speak his language.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a gift almost? Like a special connection?
It does.
Yeah.
It really does. He's taught us so much. I feel like we're just better people.
Yeah,
Because he exists.
Definitely more humble.
Yes.
You don't really
More
take things for
understanding.
granted as much as you used to. Like,
Yeah, he's definitely changed us for the better.
There is still some really good conversation left. Stetson's day-to-day life and his impact on the lives around him, but I wanted to take a second to invite you into the Go Shout Love community and into what we do. In case you are new to Go Shout Love, we exist to highlight amazing families with kids on rare medical journeys. We then shout love for this family each month through the sale of creative apparel inspired by that kiddo. This month's design is inspired by Stetson from Tampa, Florida. The Love Needs No Words t-shirt design helps us celebrate the beauty that exists in bonds that are so close that words aren't necessary. Please visit our website, GoShout.love, to support Stetson through the purchase of a t-shirt, a tumbler, hat, hoodie, or other items, and every item sold in January will help in the purchase of a medical stroller for Stetson. This can be a one-time purchase, or you can start a monthly subscription. If you choose the subscription, please use the discount code podcast at checkout, and you will receive $5 off your first month. Please don't miss out. And now back to the conversation.
What does like everyday care look like for him? What are the different appointments or different things that are just kind of part of your schedule now?
So, pretty much we get up in the morning with him. He gets his morning meds. He gets 5 or 6 different meds in the morning. We do his trach care. So we take off his trachs his trach ties from the day before, clean all that, clean his neck, clean his G-tube, his stomas, give him his bath. We get him dressed. He sits in his chair and watches his cartoons for a couple hours. We go for walks every day. We try to go to the park and go fishing and go see his horses at the farm. On his appointments, we see his specialists every 3 months. So we're always over at All Children's following up with all his doctors. And all his doctors have been seeing him since he was born. So they all know him really well. It's nice to have doctors that, like stable doctors that have been with him
yeah, that
since the
actually
beginning.
pay attention to what he's got going on.
And listen to us as parents. So that's really nice.
Yeah, we hear a lot of how much personality and the person makes a doctor. You know, outside of just the medical expertise of what someone brings to the table,
Definitely.
the person behind that degree or behind that knowledge really is what makes or breaks the experience. When that goes for nurses too, our son was in the NICU just for 10 days, and that's the experience that we had. It was like the nurse of the day either made that day awesome or made that day terrible. And it's so hard because
so true.
you want, like, you vent and you want to vent about how terrible this experience was. And then the next day you just have somebody that's just like, thank you for restoring my faith in humanity, because you go above and beyond, or you think about what it must be like for the parent, and you frame things the way that you say them so that it's encouraging to the parent versus like discouraging or negative or whatever. It's just, I don't think we recognize, sometimes I don't think the medical profession people can recognize the weight of their tone, maybe, if that makes sense. Like the energy that they bring into the room is either
they set that vibe for the day, and we've definitely had both.
Yeah, we've had one nurse that she was with him for probably like 2 months. Just she wanted him. She was like, she was great to us. We were great to her. And when she finally left, we were like, hey, thank you so much. And, you know, and it's actually like, and we have another doctor that retired that we kept in touch with as well. I don't know.
I don't know for all.
My wife is a NICU nurse, and she loves those moments.
She is a NICU nurse?
Yeah. Now she's only a level 1 or level 2, so something like Stetton's case would be sent to a different hospital. Mm-hmm. But she's excited to get to work to see those little
that
kiddos.
Makes such a difference, those nurses.
Yeah, when you have someone who really loves what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's for sure.
I want to shift gears just a little bit. Chelsea, you are a gifted photographer, and you said you've been doing that for about 5 years. But on your website for your business, you say, the thing that really sparked a fire in my soul for documentary photography was the moment my son was born 3 years ago. Being a special needs parent, the long days and nights spent in the ICU, not knowing how long our son will be here with us, made me hold my camera with a new purpose, to capture life as it lays before me. While those perfect portraits are nice to have, I'm drawn to the moments in between. What are some of those moments in between that you've kind of learned to lean into and embrace?
Oh, I had my camera with us the whole time we were in the PICU, and Cody would take it and just take pictures of me doing his trach care and learning how to change his trach, and just me holding him in that hospital chair with all those wires and tubes, and just behind the scenes things that people normally wouldn't think to take pictures of, because that was our reality. So I just wanted to remember all of it. I just said, snap away.
Everybody else is posing for the perfect picture.
Yeah, I'm not a pose type of person. Maybe I used to be before Stetson, but now it's like, it's moments to me that matter. Even if it's not a perfect portrait, it doesn't matter, because it's your life that you want to remember. Your life, how it happened.
Mm-hmm. And even the nature of posed images, it's like we're making this so that it becomes this, so that it communicates a certain thing.
It's not real,
right? But the nature of, you know, Cody taking the shot of you working with Stetson or vice versa is documenting bonding moments. Mm-hmm. It's documenting real life and real relationship being built and established.
And those are the things we wanted to remember, what he was hooked up to, and all those wires, and what they were doing for him in that moment. And
yeah, you look at the picture and you don't just see the picture, you feel like
you were there.
Yeah.
It's like we remember it. Yeah.
It's good.
It was beautifully put.
Thank you.
How you phrase that on there, I loved it.
Thank you.
You guys touched on this just a little bit, but I want to really create space for you to talk about this. What has Stetson taught you?
He's taught us how to be better people and kinder people, and
more patience.
More patient, more accepting. Just, he changed us for the better. And just to watch Cody grow into this amazing dad and embrace that his son might not play football, he might not be coaching his son's football team, and still just embracing his son as he is and loving him anyway. And he's such a great dad. I'm crying. Yeah.
Cody, anything else that you'd add to that?
I don't know if I can top all that. She's a great mom. She's up with them every morning. If the nurse isn't here, she's there. she's I can't even describe, like, put into words how, like, you never really, like, I don't know, like she said, you think of, I'm gonna go play baseball or something, go play catch or whatever, and it doesn't happen. So we just hang out on the couch and just have a good time and enjoy ourselves, make our own little thing. We build little forts every now and then, and
we just embrace it how it is, make the best of it.
It wasn't planned like this, so I mean, we just make it happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's nice to kind of see you guys talk and interact about each other that way. It seems like you guys.
It's hard to do. We don't like talking about ourselves.
We like to force you into uncomfortable ways, phrases,
That's right.
and stuff. But you guys seem like a really good team in this.
We are. I think we always say we think that somebody chose us to be his parents. We don't know who. Maybe, I don't know. We're not super religious people, but somebody chose us to be his parents. It was meant to be, and we're always thankful that we got him. He's ours.
Mm-hmm.
We're very lucky to be able to take care of him and raise him.
Yeah.
With sorry, we can go back to what you have planned. I'm just curious about his glasses, like his vision. How can they test that?
They can't tell us what he can see, if he can see colors. Well, obviously he can't tell us. When they did the test, they just were able to see how far away his eyes were able to react, like his pupils. So they were able to tell that he's nearsighted, so he can see up close. Like me, I'm nearsighted. I can't see anything more than a foot in front of me unless I'm wearing my contacts or glasses. So they were able to tell us that. Yeah.
And can you tell the difference if he doesn't have his glasses on? Like,
Yes.
Does he not like that because he can't see what's going on?
We can see, like, if he's just hanging out in his chair, we can walk up to him and we can tell, because his eyes will get wide when he finds something. His eyes will open up and you can see that he just found you and he focused in on you. So, yeah, we can definitely tell the difference when he doesn't have his glasses on.
Your parents, Chelsea, have been kind of hands-on and part of that journey since that time.
Yeah.
Yes, they see Stetson every day. They hold him every day. If we're at work, it's almost like babysitting. We have a nurse here, but they'll be grandparents to him.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky.
What a blessing to
Yes.
not only you guys, but to Stetson too, to be able to get to be that close to.
Yeah, he has people here that he knows and like that we're comfortable with. And
Yeah.
we do have great nurses. Don't get us wrong, but
We're very lucky.
we've had
too.
some
We've had bad
crazy
ones.
nurses.
It's taken a long time to get. The two we have, our day nurse and our night nurse, they've been with him since the day he came home.
Oh my, that is amazing.
And they've stayed. They love him so much.
She had our one nurse, his day nurse. She takes him out for walks and they go out to the grocery store and stuff like that, and they hang out all the time.
We call her his other grandma.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some crazy nurses out there.
Oh my gosh.
Hopefully none of my wife's coworkers.
We've probably had 20 nurses come in that they'll come for a shift. They'll see him, they'll get scared, and they won't come back, or
Just refuse to even mess with him. Like
they've never seen an event before. Things like that. It's scary.
Wow.
Which I guess is unfortunate, but maybe not a bad thing.
It's better that they don't come
right?
back.
It's like you kind of want that natural filtering to be like, if you're going to come here and take care of our son, we want you to be all in and be comfortable and be
And we get
equipped.
that it's scary, and we've always been open to giving them time to get used to him and training if they need it, but some just don't come back.
Do you experience that in public also?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
at the store or something?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We've gone to the mall, we go to the park, and we get stares and we get crazy looks, and we've kind of learned to ignore it at this point.
What was it like in the beginning, though, that before you had gotten to the point where you learned to ignore it? Like, what are the emotions that come with having to deal with that?
That was the hardest. The first few months home were the hardest. Learning to ignore those looks and ignore the whispers, and
Yeah,
we'd go home and I'd cry just because Why can't you just come up and say hi to him like you do with all the other little babies around? He's still a baby. He still has feelings. Just because he has these extra things hanging off his stroller doesn't mean that you should treat him.
But you do get children that do come up to him and just like, "Hey, how are you?" Like, you know, and that's what we love too. Like,
That's gotta feel so good.
And we really like, we'll get into him. Yeah, it does. It feels great. And we'll get in and we'll talk to, like, this is his, you know, his G-tube. And
they'll ask questions. They're curious.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we're happy to answer questions. It's just don't stand off in the distance staring, giving us dirty looks. Come up and say hi. That's all we want.
Yeah. And he'll smile at you too.
Little kids are great though. They're so curious. They want to come up and ask, "What's that? What's that?" And we're fine with all of that. Just come up and say hi to him.
Yeah,
that's one thing that we've been learning too. That there's a certain level of inclusion. I mean, he's still a kid and he wants to interact with kids.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's the parents that will hold them back and say, "Don't go over there." That teaches them. It teaches them not to want to say hi and not to want to go ask questions. But it's the parents that are, go say hi, you know?
Yeah.
Go say hi to him. Those are the best.
I think it's something somewhere along the line in our lives. We get like our curiosity, we push that down, and our like openness to engage other people, we push that down, and it's like replaced with like this fear or this like self-consciousness.
Yeah.
And I really think we were just having this conversation the other day about how I think it's oftentimes it's not those parents that are doing that. They don't know what they're doing.
It's not out of any ill will.
Right, exactly.
They don't realize that their what is a split-second decision that they won't think twice about is the cause of tears for a mom later that day. Like it doesn't even register. It's so true. Because they're thinking, well, I don't want him to accidentally, pull on something or damage something.
And we totally get that.
But it's like the flip side of that. It's not natural to think, I don't want that child to feel anything less than the awesomeness that he is. Like we don't naturally get there anymore. Like kids, they don't think about the tubes. They don't think about them. Like they just like
they're so innocent. They just they see a baby and they want to go up and say hi and they want to touch. And
it's like we need that part of our lives refreshed as adults sometimes.
Yes, and if you're an adult that you haven't seen something like that in person, maybe you've seen it in pictures, movies. I don't know. It can be really scary, and maybe their first instinct is to keep their kid back and don't go over there. They don't know if he's contagious or I don't know.
It's also the opposite way around. Like maybe I don't want to get my kid over there and get him sick. I think of all that as well. Like maybe they don't want to come over here because they don't want to be rude. I totally get that, and I understand that. But like, just smile. Hey, how you doing?
Just a smile can make all the difference.
Because there's people that like, I don't know. Sometimes like. I've had one or two people like just stare and scoff and like, why? What are you doing? I don't know. Just smile. How are you?
Just over here being a dad.
Just doing my thing.
Being a rock star dad. What are you doing?
Hanging out with our kid too.
Yeah.
I understand both ways though.
Yeah, we're more open minded now than we were. Yeah, we can definitely see both sides now. We've learned to ignore it.
And embrace it as well.
Yeah, embrace it and just do what we went to the park to do and just play with our son.
Yeah, and it probably kind of going back to what you had mentioned earlier. It probably helps more quickly to filter like who are our people.
Exactly.
Who are the people that are in this with us? Because there's more immediate and tangible ways to gauge that. Like, okay, if you're having a hard time just being comfortable in the same room,
right?
This probably isn't going to be a friendship or like this isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, we've made friends. I've made friends through just like clients that hired me to take their family pictures. They see his pictures on my Facebook page and they'll hang out. Yeah, they'll want to come see him and they'll invite us to the park. It's amazing. Because they've seen his picture.
Does that come as a surprise to you? Like when you started your business and then when Stetson was born, did you ever envision him impacting other people's lives through your work like that?
No, definitely not. That it came as a big surprise to see people like want to learn about him just through my business, just clients they'll hire me and I have no idea they know about him, and they'll say, "How's your son? He's so cute. We love seeing his pictures. It brings smiles to our faces every day."
Yeah, we'll be in Publix or something, and like she's like, "Oh, there's one of my clients," and they'll come up and be like, "Hey, how's Stetson? How are you guys doing?" And, "Oh, we're great."
Well, just to wrap up, one of the favorite questions that I love hearing is just like, because you guys are in this journey now for 3 years, and you were young when you had him, especially. Yes. So you've gone through this season that there's no way to be prepared for, and it's probably a lot different than what you thought being mom and dad would look like. But if you could go back and tell yourselves, your 21-year-old selves or 22, whenever you found out that you were pregnant, or if there was someone else who's receiving a diagnosis that's similar to Stetson's, if you could go back and say something to them, what would you say?
To me, I would say it's going to get easier. You can go through that grieving stage because you're grieving the child you planned on having, the child you thought you would have. And that's okay. It's okay to give yourself that like mourning period, and then it's going to be okay. It's going to get easier. Every little diagnosis that he gets, you're going to learn to embrace it, and you're going to learn to just love him the way he is. And yeah, it's gonna be okay. That's what I would have told myself back then, because it was like we didn't think it would be okay, but it is okay.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And now it's like just every day we've gotten used to it. So like having
he's our baby, he's our son, and we love him just the way he is, and that's what we needed to hear back then. You'll learn to deal with all the equipment and all the diagnosis and all that stuff, and you'll still love him the same.
I love the way that you put that when you said you grieve the child that you thought you were going to have.
Yes.
And on the back end of that is you get to embrace the joy of the child you get to know.
Yes.
Like there's this whole new side of that like you said, you can embrace all these other things. It's not less than. It's just different.
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you can think of that you just would like our community to know?
We appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yes.
Like, this is awesome. Like,
it's amazing.
Whenever she told me that, that someone had found his pictures, like we were talking about, just something like to reach out to someone. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming out.
Yes, thank you for trying to raise awareness of these kids. They're so special, and they just make you happy, and they're so inspiring. Yeah. And it's just great that you guys are putting them out there and letting people meet them, and you never know who you're going to reach by doing that.
It's great to give them a little voice.
Yeah,
to be heard,
yeah, we're his voice, and great to.
That means a lot to us. We're honored. We feel we're the ones honored by that, because we get to every conversation that we get to have with families, every interaction online, even for the ones that we don't get to feature. We get to learn from, and it helps to influence us to how can we best use our personal lives, and then us as an organization, how can we use that to kind of bridge the gap between people who are living, have families with kids that are neurotypical or don't have the medical complexities, and bridge the gap between them and the families that have lives that look completely different for a situation that they didn't choose or sign up for, but they've chosen to embrace it, and they're still living their life to the fullest, and kind of merge those two worlds so that everybody's better and everybody can grow and share in the burden, share in the grief, share in the joy, all of it that comes with it, to kind of help rally support and to help families just like you know that while you guys have an awesome family support system, not every family does. And so especially for those families, I think our goal is to help kind of come around them and just let them know, hey, you're not alone. Like, there are people that see Stetson as an awesome 3-year-old, not as a kid that can't fill in the blank, but just as a 3-year-old that's awesome, that's changing the world and bringing joy. Just like
that's our goal.
Just like every other unique 3-year-old. So
and we definitely we're open to people contacting us if they have a baby that's been diagnosed with epilepsy or HPE, or a baby getting a G-tube or a trach, anything like that. We're open to talking with people, and meeting new people and answering questions if people are scared or we're definitely, our door's open.
Yeah, because
we didn't have that when he was born.
Yeah.
We didn't know anybody. We didn't know any other families going through anything similar. So we definitely want to be that support to other families that need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Shouters, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please take a second to rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening on. That way, hopefully, it can reach someone else and bless them as well. And also, if you are interested in purchasing an item to help Stetson, please go to GoShout.love. And every purchase in January will go towards that medical stroller. And if you are also interested in helping monthly with a subscription, use the discount code podcast at checkout for that $5 off your first month. Please stay tuned. We have some excellent episodes coming your way in the next couple months. And also, when you're done listening and done reviewing and done purchasing, please go and shout love. Thank you.